What's up, my friends? It's your boy Zach.
I'm Alex.
All right, so we wanted to give a full, unbiased opinion about this record right here, the fully anticipated and highly anticipated record, Look Outside Your Window, from four of the members of Slipknot. Now, this is Corey Taylor, Clown, Jim Root, and Sid Wilson. Just for a little bit of context on this record, too. This record was during the recording sessions of All Hope Is Gone, four that I've just previously talked about, had kind of converged a little bit and came up with this record. And there was murmurs about this kind of around the Gray Chapter era. And since the Gray Chapter era, there's been a few times where they'd said, "Hey, we're going to release this year. This is the year."
It's been a couple record store days now that it was supposed to come out. So
yep.
I thought it was very cool that we were able to grab this from the record store and rush home to try to sit and listen to it. We had a little listening party in my room, threw it on the turntable, and honestly, coolest way to take in a new album because it forces you to sit there and listen. It's not on streaming services. This is the way we had to take in this form of media. So I thought that was very cool.
So first initial thoughts of the record overall. I was not a fan. They said that this was going to be a very different record for everybody, and they gave a lot of context that, hey, this is not a Slipknot record, and it is not a Slipknot record at all. And that's okay, and I'm totally okay with that. Corey Taylor has gone on and done side projects. Joey Jordison's done side projects. Clown's done side projects. This one just didn't really hit for me. That being said, there were a few songs that I enjoyed, but overall, it was for something that I had been anticipating as a huge Slipknot fan or a huge fan of the individual members in this band for so long. It just didn't hit home like I wanted it to. Which, again, this was all just first listen. Alex and I have only listened to it once so far, and I think this is one of those records that it's going to need a couple of listens for it to sink in with me.
I took notes while we were listening to it on my phone, so I'm gonna read off some of those for you guys of my initial thoughts. My first thought was that side A was not great. If I'm being completely honest, Corey's vocal performance on this, phenomenal. And you're getting a prime Corey Taylor. I mean, I think a lot of us can, maybe some would argue that, those early records like 99 through 2001 was like his vocal peak. I say All Hope Is Gone era was Corey's vocal
peak. To clarify, singing Corey Taylor vocals during All Hope Is Gone is peak. So this is a lot of singing. There is not really a lot of screaming. And the little bit of screaming that is on this record is more of a yell.
More gritty.
So this is all just Corey singing.
Yeah, and like Zach said, we knew going into the record that it was not going to sound like Slipknot. I was particularly excited because it was from that era, that All Hope Is Gone era. So I was very excited. The last song on side A is Real. Really tied the album together. Up until that point, I was really not feeling the vibe of the record. I understood the vibe of what they're going for, which isn't particularly what I'm into. But that song really tied it together. I had put Everybody Shine, Jim's guitar solo. It's that typical Jim Root melodic guitar solos that you can kind of hum in your head. Sounded awesome. The drums sounded great on this. There was this almost flute type of sound that I believe Sid was producing. It sounded great. That was a standout track for sure.
A cool little note on top of the song as well is Christina Scabia actually was featured on vocals on this too. And her vocals with Corey, I felt complemented each other really, really well. The harmonies sounded really, really nice. It was very different, but very unique, and it was a very fun listen. I think overall, this is probably my favorite track on the record, if I'm going to be 100% honest. And just to talk a little bit more quick about Jim's guitar tone, I think that was one of the things on the album overall that kind of threw me for a loop. He went for more of a fuzz type, almost, grungy type of tone. It was not what I was used to, but it almost kind of threw me off. I almost felt like it was a little untasteful at times there was times where it kind of stuck out like a sore thumb to me.
It sat in the mix a little weird to
Yeah.
me, I think.
There was a few vocal performances that I felt like kind of sat in the mix a little weird too. There was a really strong reverb effect on some of the vocals, and off the top of my head, I can't remember what songs it stood out the most, but there was just a few times where it's like, I wish they would have just toned back on the reverb just a little bit.
So that being said, at least with side A ending on a somewhat positive note, side B was a lot better. I remember thinking the first song was called Away. I thought it was a decent track. It didn't like completely grab my attention, but I was like, okay, now we're going somewhere. Like we're picking up a little bit of momentum. Nothing phenomenal.
We can see the vision. We can see where this is
Yes.
going.
The next track, called In Reverse, I thought was an all right track. It's sounded definitely more together. I don't know if it was just the mix or what they were playing. I noted that Corey's vocal performance on this specifically was phenomenal, and that the drums actually sounded really well on this track.
This one was my favorite track on side B. As far as like my second favorite track on the record goes, this one in particular is my second favorite track.
And then going into the next track called Toad, which actually ended up probably being my favorite track off of side B. It started off very weird for me.
Very different vibe.
Yeah, I was not feeling it. But it developed into a very decent song. I put that Jim's melodic little guitar swells that he like threw in are just gorgeous. They're beautiful. And then the great vocal harmonies and melodies that you hear in the background that really ties that song in very well. I thoroughly enjoyed this track. The first 20 to 30 seconds of it, I was like, man, I am not going to like this song. I'm going to be honest. But I was really pleasantly surprised that I ended up kind of turning around, and that probably ended up being my favorite track off side B.
Yeah. The next song, Juliet, I liked this song. It took a minute for it to kind of warm up to me. It starts out kind of with like the repetitive like chorus, the hook a little bit, and at first I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I like this. But the more that I heard it in the song, I think the more it really worked with the song. It really served the song, and it sounded really good. And was this the one where like Clown was drumming?
I wrote down, yeah. So
Clown was drumming in 4/4, but the riff that Jim was playing, it sounded like a bit of an odd time signature, and the clash of the two just sounded. Sometimes that could sound really cool. In this instance, it didn't really sound that good. It almost sounded like the drummer didn't know what he was doing, and he was just kind of using his basic skills to kind of go along with the rest of the band. It stood out like a sore thumb to me.
I put that the backing vocal harmonizing is amazing, but that the drums were not great. I had the same problem. They threw me off. I put that they play off beat compared to what the riffs being played. And which sometimes can be cool, but to me it was kind of in a distasteful way. Up until this point, we were getting ready to listen to the last song, and I'll be honest. Like I said, we pointed out some great features that have been shown throughout the record. I was a little disappointed overall. That being said, I turned to Zach when the last song was getting played, and I was like, this is either going to be the best song on the record or the worst song on the record.
And Alex was right.
It was
one of those two things.
It was the worst song on the record. I'm going to be honest.
Between this song and 11th March, the first song, these two are the turds on the album. Very lackluster, very organic, not in a great way. It just kind of felt like noise in a sense. Like there was a lot going on. There was a lot of nuances, not just with this track, but with a lot of the tracks, where a very random instrument or a very random sound would be thrown in.
Like the piano sounds.
And it was a completely different key than what the rest of the music was playing. Sometimes that can sound
I do
cool.
I like stuff like that too. Like I'm a Dillinger Escape Plan fan. Like
Yeah.
I do like odd time signatures. I would say I don't off-putting maybe. instruments getting thrown in, but some of these were very distracting, I
it
feel like.
it almost felt forced. Like it was just kind of thrown on there. Like, hey, we have this sound, we want to use it. Let's throw it right here. It sometimes to me, from my opinion, what it seems like, I think Clown likes to kind of take things in an artistic direction or what he thinks is an artistic direction, and it just comes out not how he intended it to come out. And maybe that is how he intends it, but it doesn't translate well. I think, and what I mean by that is it's something that only Clown understands. And I feel like the people who may disagree with that are, the diehards who try not to show any discomfort for something. But it's okay not to like everything that your favorite artists do. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with not liking something that your favorite artist put out. Slipknot is and will forever be my favorite band of all time. But I don't always like everything that they've released. And that's okay, because they have things that I absolutely love. And just like this record, it may not have been the best thing that either of these members of the band have released. I'm still overall glad that they did end up releasing it. Even though the first listen was a huge disappointment, I'm glad that I listened to it anyway. It made the trip worth it just to kind of have this piece in my collection.
I put that overall as not for me. They put out there, this does not sound like Slipknot.
They
So
were
we
very
knew,
clear. And I remember Jim specifically saying, like, hey, I think everybody is going to be kind of disappointed here because I think everybody is getting the wrong idea of what this record is. It's not what everybody thinks it is. And they're 100% right. And I knew that going into it, too. I trusted, because especially with Clown, Clown's had a few bands in the past, and he has a very unique vision when it comes to his music. And I have not been a fan of pretty much any of the other bands that Clown has been in. And this is no disrespect to Clown at all. Obviously, he's very successful musician, very successful artist. He's done a lot of things in his life. But this had that Clown vibe on it 100% through and through.
I put that I went in with kind of low expectations, and I still kind of got disappointed, if I'm being honest. While I did really enjoy the experience of having to get up early, get to the record store, sit in line for a couple hours, pray we were going to get home, put the vinyl on, take it all in that way. While I did enjoy that, I will say that I think that the lore about this album was far greater than actually putting it on and listening to it. I almost, for me, while I do treasure that experience we just had, I almost kind of wish they never would have put it out, because it's kind of a cool mystery of like, oh, what's on that record, what could it be? And while you'll always sit and want it,
it's kind of like the Joker's identity. Everybody wants it, but as soon as you'd hear what the identity actually is, then everybody would be disappointed. That's the whole point of the character, or in this instance, the whole point of the album. That mystery behind it almost makes it exciting in a sense.
My closing remarks, I also did put, like we mentioned, the fuzz guitar sound was I didn't feel was quite complimentary all the time to what was being played. Some small interesting parts that were spread throughout the album, particularly vocally, and the little guitar melodies that are spread throughout the record. But overall, a little disappointing, if I'm being honest. That being said, I'm glad that we picked it up. I'm glad we have them in our record collections now. It is something I'm going to revisit. We just want to give you guys our initial thoughts now that this is just brand new and out. It's a little sad, but I've seen a lot of people, everybody's got to make a buck or two. I've seen a lot of people reselling these for a lot of money, and I've seen people kind of buying them for anywhere between $130 to $200. This is a limited run from now. They will eventually, hopefully, come out with more. It'll probably be on Spotify at some point. I know everybody wants to hear these songs. If you weren't able to get a copy, that sucks. I don't pay $200 for this record, please. I'm going to be honest.
If you're a diehard Slipknot fan, I get it. Like myself, and you're a diehard fan of these people. I mean, Corey Taylor is my favorite singer in the whole world, and Jim Root is one of my all-time favorite guitarists. He's a huge hero of mine. So this is definitely something that I needed to add to the collection as a diehard Slipknot fan. That being said, my piece of recommendation for everybody, the album is supposed to be getting released again in June, I believe. And as like a normal vinyl and CD and digital release, instead of cracking this open, I recommend maybe waiting to listen to it, if you can, until it comes out in June. Especially with this being a limited piece count, and kind of touching on what Alex just said, this is going for a lot of money right now. And it could go for a lot more. And I'd hate for people to open up the record just to be kind of disappointed by the songs. Or, maybe it's something that you can wait on and listen to on something that's not going to be worth $200 plus at some point here.
That being said, if you were able to pick it up from Record Store Day and give it a listen, I hope you had a similar experience to us. Hopefully, maybe you enjoyed it a lot more than we did. I still had a lot of fun throwing this on the turntable and giving it a listen and kind of giving my thoughts and sitting there and taking it in. What do I feel about it? How do I feel about the vibe of the record? Everything all over. I know one of the things I want to touch on, he had said that like in an interview it kind of had a Radiohead vibe. I personally didn't really see that, but that's just my opinion. I did kind of mention, not to be super harsh on it, when I was initially listening to this record, it kind of reminded me of like the snobby record store manager, like what they would put on at a record store, like kind of like the artsy stuff where they're like, I'm gonna put on something that's super weird and obscure,
very avant-garde.
Yeah, like we've definitely ran into that a few times going to record stores. So that was kind of my initial thought. It's almost like a musician's record.
That being said, though, I am glad, though, one, that we listened to it, and two, that these guys were able to have this creative outlet and do this. I don't want anybody to... This record wasn't created for Alex or myself. This record was created solely for the musicians that wrote this record. This was something fun that they wanted to do. And nobody should ever stop being creative or stump their creativity based on other people's opinions. Do what you want to do because you want to do it. Don't ever do it for somebody else. We just wanted, as fans of music and as fans of these members, we just kind of wanted to give our opinion on the record here too.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, at the end of the day, what do we know? We're just music listeners. I mean, that really, like, you don't have to take our opinion serious. Love to hear what you guys think about it, honestly. Hopefully you're able to pick up a copy. So.
Yeah, so let us know down in the comment section below. Were you able to get a copy of this record? What are your thoughts on the record? Favorite track on the record? Let us know. And what do you think overall? Personally, I thought the color variant is pretty cool. Check it out in our previous video. We show off the vinyl a little bit more here. So this was just kind of to give our thoughts on the record itself. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. See you.